Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, March the 4th. I'm Gary Stevens. First Thursday of the month, we spend our 10:30 segment getting an update on what's going on in Allegan County law enforcement with Sheriff Frank Baker. He joins us via the Zoom connection this morning. Frank, good morning and welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary.
Glad you are with us. And we have a third person that's joining in our Zoom connection. She is Lindsay Maunz. She is the Chief Public Information Officer for the Allegan County Health Department. Lindsay is also on our connection. Lindsay, good morning and welcome to WHTC.
Good morning. Good morning, Gary. Thank you for having me.
Glad you are joining us, Lindsay. We will talk to you in a few moments, but I do want to talk to the sheriff. And of course, if you want to join the conversation, you don't need to be on Zoom. You can give us a call at 395-1450, 395-1450. Let me ask you a quick question, Sheriff Frank Baker, and it involves a road construction project. The Michigan Department of Transportation is working with the Gun Lake tribe of Potawatomi Indians to rebuild the US 31 M179 intersection or junction, 129th Street. It will resurface US 131 from 120th to 133rd, basically during that stretch. One of the things that needs to be redone is the fact that this intersection has been around almost as long as I have. 1959. It's time to get this fixed, isn't it, Sheriff?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it is going to create some challenges for travelers. It's going to create some challenges for us, but we're excited about this opportunity to get that interchange and that ramp modernized. It's one of those areas that we routinely have a lot of slide offs, a lot of crashes, a lot of accidents. If you're familiar with it, it was built obviously at a time when the speeds were a lot different than what they are now. It was built at a time when the traffic volume was a lot less than what it is now. And as a result of all this change, it's really been a troublesome area for us. If you recall, if you're coming from the Grand Rapids area, you ramp off there, it's a real steep turn. And it turns and puts you onto 12th Street. Then you have to make a left and then get up to actually 129th. Many travelers don't realize you're actually entering onto another road. So sometimes they have a tendency to turn when they shouldn't, or in front of somebody that they shouldn't be turning in front of. And then constantly we're getting vehicles that slide off because they leave the freeway at a higher speed than what that corner can handle. And they slide off into that area between the bridge and the ramp. And it's not much better on the other side either. So we're excited about this change. The Gun Lake Tribe has been a tremendous partner in this with MDOT. They are funding the bulk of this project, and it's going to be a period of time before it gets completed. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be well into 2022. This is going to be a massive change, a massive project. If anyone's familiar with the interchange around 44th Street in Kent County in 131, it's going to be similar to that. So we're talking a big project. So it's going to be a while before it's done, but it's going to be exciting, and it'll be a nice change for travelers that are obviously using that ramp to access the casino or to head out to Gun Lake. A lot of opportunity for change there.
The other thing too, and I'll just, and then we'll get to Lindsay, is the fact, Sheriff, is for traffic heading from 129 from US 31, 131 east through to Gun Lake and then eventually to all the way to Hastings. You know, that's a state road. That's one thing. But if you're going west or coming from the west, you got to go like another half mile south to 128th because that's the route that goes through west. You can't go 129th because it blocks off. So that's another quirk that's got to be taken care of. Unfortunately, maybe not with this project.
Yeah, obviously that's something that's going to be a matter for the townships and the counties to consider. But as you know, when you're traveling north on 12th Street and approaching 129th, you have that unusual situation where you have to yield to the vehicles that are ramping onto the freeway. It's a real unusual ramp there, and I think everybody will be happy when it's completed because it'll be less confusing, hopefully, and it'll result in a lot fewer accidents. Because right now it is one of our troublesome areas where we do get routinely, we are getting crashes and slide offs in that area.
All right, Sheriff Frank Baker, I'm going to probably have you step aside a little bit because Lindsay Maunz is with us. She is with the Allegan County Health Department. She is the public information officer. And I must say, based on what I've heard and based on what I've seen, kudos to the department, Lindsay, for how it has administered the COVID-19 vaccines, the way it has been done. We have talked to some of the Allegan County leaders over the past few months, and it's something that some proactive thinking by the department has really started to pay off. Hopefully, I'm not patting your back a little bit too much, Lindsay, but certainly the rollout has been pretty good so far in Allegan County.
Well, Gary, thank you very much. It has certainly been a long road, and we couldn't have done all of this vaccine rollout without the help of our Allegan County volunteers, Michigan National Guard, and Allegan County Emergency Management. They are the key to our success with our vaccine clinics and having them run as smoothly as they do.
Now, Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong. The clinics are one thing, and that's great. But the testing aspect of it, how much is the health department still involved with that? And how much of it has to be moved along to maybe some private sources in that regard? Maybe it isn't. I'm not certain. Sort of enlighten us on that.
Sure. So testing is still an access barrier in our county. We're working with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, or MDHHS, to offer more testing drive-through events in our county. We actually have one coming up this Saturday from 10 to 2 at the Allegan County Transportation Building. These are when we host with MDHHS, and they provide testing supplies. These are free for everyone, regardless if you have symptoms. And so we really encourage people, if they've traveled recently, if they've had a gathering recently with family members outside of their household, to capitalize on this testing opportunity for free testing. It's a quick and easy process once you get through the drive-through.
That's testing. The vaccines itself, how are we doing in numbers in terms of the current restrictions? It gets lifted more on Monday, and then the 22nd even more and more. But how are we doing in Allegan County in terms of number of vaccines, number of people eligible? What percentage have been able to get the vaccines in Allegan County among those who are eligible to get it right now?
Sure. That's a great question. We currently have 13,567 Allegan County individuals that have been vaccinated. That's about 14.6% of our population in our county. Our goal is to get to 70% by the end of 2021. About 37% of those vaccinated are 65 and older, which is something that we want to see. We want to see that increase, and hopefully we will in the next 3 to 4 weeks. As of March 2nd, Allegan County has been, we've received or shipped 13,050 vaccine doses. So this includes first and second doses. We're hoping in the coming weeks that we'll have more vaccine available in our county. Positive news with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine approved from the FDA for use. Total, we have about 20,515 doses that have been administered in Allegan County. This includes first and second doses as well.
Now, in Allegan County, in the situation there, Lindsay, for the most part, it's through the health department. I know that there are some private entities that are starting to get involved, and it might be nice for maybe some different parts of the state or different parts of the lake shore. But in Allegan County, yes, there's the Plainwell Otsego area, a little bit in Allegan, a little bit towards South Haven, but also in Wayland. But for the most part, the health department's going to have to do the job because unlike some of the other areas, there's not a lot of densely populated areas where there might be more private opportunities to get this vaccine.
Correct. And we also don't have a health system in our county that is receiving vaccine. So we are the primary recipients of the vaccine doses that we receive for our jurisdiction. We're trying to get those out as quickly as possible. We have between 2 to 3 clinics scheduled each week. Anticipating having 3 to 4 in the coming weeks. We have the locations secured to have 5 to 6 vaccine clinics a week. We have these locations secured throughout the county with gracious partners that have their space available, and we set up our clinics. And so people, we strategically located these so an individual should not have to drive more than 20 minutes to a clinic. So something we phased into is when we have appointments available for vaccine doses, we provide all of the clinics to those people that are next on our registry, and they can choose what option is best for them. This is a plan to get people vaccinated quickly, but also noting that transportation is a barrier for some. And so those over 65 can secure free transportation through our senior services and Allegan County Transportation. And so we're just going to keep continuing our efforts, and hopefully with the vaccine availability growing, we'll be able to vaccinate more Allegan County individuals.
We're talking with Lindsay Maunz, who is with the Allegan County Health Department. She is the public information officer. 2 things along the lines of registering for the vaccination clinics. First of all, people that need to register in Allegan County. I know that other municipalities and other jurisdictions, they encourage people to register via the internet, but there are some that are not comfortable with that way. How can people register not only online, but as important as ever, how can they get a hold of the Allegan County Health Department to register to get the vaccines?
Sure, great question, especially since we know about 20% of our population doesn't have broadband internet. Even though it's a solution that we use so frequently nowadays, we want to be able to help those individuals get their vaccine that don't have access or don't feel comfortable using the internet. So we encourage them to call 211, and they can register these individuals with the form we have available on www.allegancounty.org/COVID. On the very top of that website, it's I want the COVID-19 vaccine. And so we have receptionists at 211 that can fill out that form for individuals who don't have access to internet, don't feel comfortable using the internet, or don't have an email address. And they also talk to them about other availability clinics, so such as the West Michigan Vaccine Clinic, Meyer Pharmacy, Rite Aid Pharmacy, and Spectrum Health Zealand that we all have partnerships with that they can also get on their registries, and they'll help them over the phone as well.
Another question, I'm not certain whether or not you can answer this, Lindsay, or maybe you can't. We understand if you can't. Obviously, more vaccines are needed. I mean, that's an obvious thing to point out. But once we do get more vaccines and be able to vaccinate more of the general public, I posed this question in Ottawa County. I'm going to post this to Allegan County. Has the health department, has the emergency management department reached out to maybe some of the larger venues in Allegan County, i.e. the fairgrounds, perhaps the US 131 Speedway in Martin, to be able to use those facilities for vaccinations, as we see with other parts of the country when they had big stadiums and big facilities to do that? Could we see that in Allegan County?
Yes, so we are under the planning phases for that right now. One of our vaccine strategies for the state and for Allegan County is to be able to have vaccine clinics that can push through 3,000 to 6,000 people a day. And so that is certainly something that is planning. And once that is ready to go, we'll certainly let our residents and individuals living and working in Allegan County know and work through our registry to make the vaccine available to everyone.
I don't want to disparage our friends over in Bradley, but I was not thinking of the Gun Lake Casino. But then again, that could be a possibility as well. They got the land to be able to do that as well. If you got a question for Lindsay Maunz of the Allegan County Health Department, or for Allegan County Sheriff Frank Baker, they'll be happy to take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. Logistically, and I'll put both of you in the question, or my final question to both of you is this. Logistically, this could be a nightmare, could have been a nightmare of putting together not only the clinics, but also putting together the vaccines. How much of a challenge has it been to logistically get this done as smoothly as possible with as few hiccups as possible? In any human endeavor, there's going to be hiccups. How tough has this been logistically for the health department, Lindsay, and for the sheriff's department, Sheriff Baker?
I'll go ahead and jump in on that one. Let Lindsay have a little break. One of the things that our goal is obviously, like you mentioned, Gary, there are hiccups. There are things that are going to come up. There are things that people are going to disagree on. And hopefully we're able to resolve those issues, take care of them before we ever open up the clinic, so that what the public sees is seamless. It's easy for them to navigate through the system, and hopefully they'll be able to get their shot, get vaccinated, and get on their way in a way that that they feel is adequately serve their needs, and they feel good about it. It has been a challenge. Obviously, this is something that none of us have been involved in the past. And I can tell you that our partners with emergency management, the health department, the volunteers, the National Guard, our reserve deputies who come out and help staff and provide securities have all worked together marvelously. And I stopped by at one of the clinics over the weekend and was just really impressed at what's going on and the efforts, and the community itself willing to volunteer and provide services. Couldn't be happier with that.
And Lindsay, on the health department side.
Sure. So something we like to say a lot in the health department is it certainly takes a village. We would not be able to make all of this possible without our partners, the county volunteers, the emergency management, sheriff's department, also other outside partnerships. So Intercare Community Health Network, Meyer Pharmacy, Spectrum Health Zealand, all partners that we've been able to collaborate with, get vaccine to, individuals that feel more comfortable accessing the vaccine through them. And logistically, it's been a certain challenge, but after this, I think that we'll have overcame a lot and really be prepared for whatever happens next.
Allegan County Sheriff Frank Baker and Lindsay Maunz from the Allegan County Health Department. I want to thank you both for joining us today on WHTC's Talk of the Town, talking about the vaccinations and the also the testing, and Sheriff, about the situation on the eastern side of the county. Lindsay, wish you well, and Sheriff Baker, look forward to chatting with you next week. Next month, I should say. Not next week. Next month as well. Thank you very
Thanks,
much for
everybody.
joining us on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. CBS News is next on the hour.